Okay, folks. Section 4.4, adding integers, take 3. All right? Now, adding integers, they're telling us how to do this on the number line. But you know what? I'm going to get rid of this. And the reason I'm going to get rid of it is because I think it confuses us. I mean, how many of you are going to add using a number line? I mean, you're not going to do that, are you? So let's talk about how to do this without using a number line. Now, for the homework, if you don't use a number line, that's okay. Don't use a calculator. I want you to do it by hand. But you don't need to use a number line. Now, something that we do need to know, and I know I've said this 100 times now, but opposites are numbers that are the same distance from 0. Okay? So what's the opposite of -4, David? 4. Right, because they're the same distance from 0. What is their distance from 0? How far are each of those from 0?
4.
They're both 4 from 0. And what is that distance called? It's not up here, but what's it called, Daniel? It's called absolute value. All right? We'll get to that later. Okay? Now let's look at example number 1. Now I think this is the best way to think about it, Isabella. I'm going to try it again. Let's see how we did. All right? Isabella, I'm starting off with how many negatives in this first problem?
5.
Well, that's my answer. But I'm starting with 2 negatives, and I'm adding how many negatives? 3 negatives. So I have a total of how many negatives? I have 5 negatives. So my answer is -5. Does that make sense to everybody? Is that easy enough? Isn't that easier? Now, on part B, I want you to think about this. Okay? I want you to think about these things as 6 negatives and 8 what? Positives. Okay, and I'm actually, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to actually draw these little coins. You see, I have 6 negatives, right? Oh, there we go. And I have 8 positives. Now, the thing we need to remember is that negatives and positives cancel each other out. Okay? So, when I cancel these out, what am I left with, Jenna? I'm left with +2. -6 plus 8 is +2. Does that make sense? Okay? What we can think about is when these two things are different signs, which one do I have more of? Positives or negatives? Raise your hand. Which one do I have more of? Positives or negatives, Zachary? Positives. How many?
2.
I've got 2 more positives than negatives. Perfect. Now think about that when we move to the next one. All right? Allie, how many negatives do I have? 3. How many positives do I have? What happens when I put them together? Do I have more of one than the other? So what should I write? What's my answer? What is -3 plus 3? Perfect. Because remember, 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 negatives, and I've got 3 positives, and they just cancel each other out, and I'm left with 0. If the numbers are opposite of each other and I add them, they just cancel out, and they give me 0. Everybody happy with that stuff? Does that make sense? Excellent. Excellent. All right. Good job. Let's look at the next one.